All right, so we just watched Tenet. What did you think?
It was interesting.
My head hurts. I have a headache from this movie. I like the idea, but I don't know if it did the best job of unfolding it.
What do you mean?
In my notes, hold on. Can you hold this for a sec? I'm gonna grab a box to put this on. This is our first time doing it like this, so I wrote like this went from being Primer to John Wick to Ocean's 11 to Mission Impossible. This felt like it was trying to be like a half dozen different movies at the same time. I think if they had leaned more into the forward and reversal of time stuff, I think it could have been stronger. I think it was just trying to be too much. Also, turn the music down in the movie. There'd be times where people would be talking, but it'd be like, like I have no idea. Sometimes I have no idea what you were saying there. Okay then. I thought they did a good job of when they meshed the forward and reverse, like when they were fighting in the hallway, and it was fighting forward versus fighting in reverse. That was cool. That was really, really well done. And then I wrote at the very end, the final battle, I said was very ambitious, with the two teams and them overlapping, like the one person getting trapped in the wall from the explosion when it inverted. I thought that was really cool. Like that was probably I think it was the best use of the idea. But there's just like some of the dialogue was hokey. I probably reacted on camera a couple times to it, because it was just that wasn't very good. The acting and stuff was fine. They were all very good actors. But it was just like some of the plot stuff, like the main guy was being seen in public with a lot of important people who are on a lot of people's radars. Like if your husband tracks you at all times, why are you walking with his wife in broad daylight down the street? Also, biggest thing that annoyed me, the guy can know the future, the antagonist. Stop trying to outsmart him. They did it, like, how many times did they do it? Like 3 or 4 times. They tried to outsmart him, and he's like, ha 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 ha. I went to my little spinning machine, and ha ha ha, I figured you out. It got really flippin' annoying after a while. I was like,
I assumed that, well, since it's an action film, it doesn't necessarily have to make sense.
Agreed, yeah. With action films, you can...
They're much more into the spectacle.
Yeah. But even then, the problem was there was so much... Like, when I said it was like all these different movies going on at the same time, there was a plot here, obviously. But it was so... This is the same guy who did Inception. That did a really good job of layering, literally, a plot. This kind of had the same, weaving. This is more of a weaving thing, but they also did that with Inception. You have to, try and change stuff. But Inception just felt more, I don't say linear, but this plot could have more cohesive, I guess. And I didn't have a headache when I was watching Inception. This one, I do agree that, when you watch a James Bond movie, you're not watching it for the stellar plot. You're watching it to watch James Bond, out jet ski an avalanche somehow. Stuff like that. And for the spectacle, it was good. Clearly a Christopher Nolan film. I didn't know that going in. I didn't know anything about this movie. As you know, I like to go into movies completely blind. And I did. But about halfway through, I'm like, this feels like a Christopher Nolan movie. Just because he has, this is his kind of, his style. And he's very good at it. A lot of the decisions didn't make sense. The wife was just, dumb. Stop doing dumb things. My son is hostage, but here, let me pretend I'm having an affair with you. Why? It's so silly. And he still had the picture, when she took the thing off the dinner plate and the picture was there, I'm just I wanted to bang my head. I was like, you are so dumb. And I get that she was more emotional and she was going through all this emotional torment with the husband, manipulating her and all this stuff with, holding her hostage and holding her prisoner and whatnot with the son, but she's made really dumb decisions.
You think that she could have been written as a better character?
Well, yes and no. I get why they wrote her the way they did. She's going to be very emotional. She's going to be very, trigger happy. literally, at the end. Maybe you play things smarter. Like, if the end game is to have you and your son be free of this tyrant, this with a god complex, megalomaniacal person, maybe... I liked what she was doing at the end until she shot him. And then she's like, no, okay, we made it okay. We did, didn't we? I'm like, that sums up her entire character. That one line sums up her entire character. I want to beat my head against something. Just also weird things they decided on. Let's have a discussion on the loudest boat in the entire world. It's like, what are you saying? Can you imagine watching this without headphones? Like, imagine we had to watch this just on the TV.
I would have wanted you to probably turn the subtitles on.
Exactly. And then she throws him overboard.
When I saw everything happening, everything did come together as far as the timeline.
Yes, that is true. Yeah.
So at least that was...
But he also didn't have the 241 in place yet when she threw him overboard. So if he died, it just would have exploded like it did, but not the huge explosion because it wasn't all complete. Right? Like, the whole time I'm like, why? Because I read here, it's like, if you let him die, doesn't that kill the link in the future since he himself is the sole link? Which I didn't know it was, like, literal in the end, but yeah, like, you take him out of the equation, there's no equation. I mean, they couldn't have known that, but at the same time, I was like, because they were trying to figure out what 241 was and all that stuff, but and then, how many times did the main guy, the protagonist, something happens to him, I'm going to kill you. Well, how about blah, blah, blah? Okay, you can go free. And here's the money. Here's a gold bar. How many times was he dead to rights? And he just like, well, how about I do. It's not a knock on the actor. None of this is a knock on the people in the movie. It's just the way it was written that was silly to me. And then I think I said this out loud, but when he had the mask on, when they go into the inverted, like, what? The air goes through your eyes. That's moisture. Like, shouldn't you have a mask on? Like, a mask.
It's something that did come to my mind.
Right?
I tried to ignore it, though. I thought that, once again, that it's not supposed to be consistent. If they're too consistent with everything, there may not be a film.
But this is a Christopher Nolan movie. He's usually very good at unfolding his story. But this, I wrote, it took 2 hours to get to the point. Once we found out from the wife of the guy, the arms dealer, what 241 was, and it was like, once we found out all these pieces, and then the final battle thing, it was like, okay, we took 2 hours to get here. It just felt like it didn't need to be this long. You could have told this story in an hour and 45 minutes, I think. And I think it would have been a tighter, more, like, don't have the main guy escape death 700 times. Don't have the wife make stupid decisions 400 times. Tighten it down to, like, the fighting and use. I think they could have done the normal world and the inverted world more. They could have done more with that. I just think it had a lot more potential to it than it actually realized. I think it relied too much on spectacle and not enough on world building and really what they could have done with this really cool idea.
In a way, by doing what they did, the audience realized things along with the characters.
Yeah, but we did that in other movies as well. Like, you can unfold the story for everyone. I'm not saying that the way it was unfolded was bad. I just said that they just felt bloated. It just felt a little too long. Like, it did not need to be 2.5 hours long. I think they could have trimmed some of the excess off of there and made a really solid, much more cohesive hour and 45-minute movie. I guess to sum it up in one sentence, and I don't know if you might not get this, but for a film nerd point of view, this movie was Christopher Nolan doing a little too much of Michael Bay. And I think you needed to tone back. Christopher Nolan is a very good director. Play to his strengths. I think he just tried to do too much here and tried to be too many things, as I said, all these different movies, and it just kind of weighed it down, and I don't think it was as good as it could have been. But the actors did a great job, and everything looked good visually. The cinematography looked okay. The action scenes were decent. I thought the actual story and the way they told it, the screenwriting, the script was a little much. I think they could have done a few edits and rewritten a few things to be a little better.
I would think that actually is a very good explanation to summarize everything.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add? Since I rambled on about this movie.
No, I actually, the films that you it was trying to be like. I haven't really seen any of them except maybe one.
Mm-hmm.
The one with the top.
Oh, yeah, Inception.
Yes. Of all of those, that's the only one that I've seen. I haven't seen those, so I didn't have anything to compare it to.
Right. Which is cool. Which is why it's cool to do these kind of reviews, because I'm like super film nerd guy, and you're a casual viewer. I can see from your point of view, this is just a fun popcorn movie.
Though I'm not really much of a fan of action films, I don't go out to look for them on purpose. But it still is a good one, considering usually when I think of an action film, I think of mindless action, and nothing much is really happening. But here, something is happening.
Like, it was mindless, but with a pulse to it at the same time. But the pulse was erratic, I think, is how I would sum it up then, using your point of view and mine combined.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go take some headache powder and try and rest my head. Thanks for watching if you have. My name is Phillip.
And I'm Justin.
And we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.